Miss Freeman, just play along with me for a moment, if you would. A 97-year-old man called Philip Freeman is involved in an accident driving a Land Rover, whatever it might be, and the car flips and 2 women. Would your advice be to Mr. Freeman that he should get in touch with those 2 people and the baby and check they're okay? Good morning.
Good morning. Absolutely not, no. I think it's very important to bear in mind, as you're aware, there is a criminal investigation going on, and any culpability or liability hasn't yet been established, either from a criminal or a civil perspective. And anything that the Duke of Edinburgh or Philip Freeman might say may impact against him in terms of that investigation.
So with your legal hat on, Nick, this is a little unfair. And notwithstanding there needs to be a police investigation, and we're not attributing blame on either side, but for the principle, this is perhaps a little unfair because it goes against all practice, does it not?
Well, no, it doesn't. Quite often, an apology is not expressed. It depends on the circumstances. Quite often in an accident there's a lot of anger, people are very heated, and people are well advised to actually say and do nothing. And I think we are applying a different set of standards and rules here. This is, in effect, almost a trial by media. It's being played out in the public eye. Should the Duke of Edinburgh have done this? Should he have done that? Is he culpable? So there are a different set of standards at play, and any lawyer would advise the Duke of Edinburgh or Philip Freeman, and let's just deal with Philip Freeman, if you are going to want to express what you feel, to express an apology, but in such a way that it doesn't incriminate you, so that it doesn't adversely impact on any investigation. That has to be right. From what we know about the incident, we know that there was sun involved, we know that it's a very difficult junction, we know that there's a faulty speed limit, so there are other independent factors, and we don't want to do anything. Philip Freeman would be advised not to do anything to his own detriment.
Even if Mr. Freeman was to...
I'm wearing a legal hat, but
indeed,
that's why I'm on the show.
Indeed, sir, and if Mr. Freeman was to type at the top of his note without prejudice, he's still advised not to do it?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't actually say without prejudice. And I always think, from a humanitarian point of view, it's a good idea to express regret. And I'm sure it's quite obvious from what we've heard that Philip Freeman was actually approaching the complainant and the victims to express something, probably his sorrow and regret, and understandably, because of his high profile, somebody else intervened and said you shouldn't be doing that and took him away, and one can understand that as well. So his guttural response was to express some sort of remorse. One would assume that's a reasonable inference.
Okay.
And he was stopped, and that wasn't of his own wish, but because of who he is, that's inevitable, and of course that moment's been lost, and that was probably the best time for communicating it.
Lastly...
Because it was natural.
Lastly, Norfolk police are in regular daily receipt of photographs of a 45-year-old man driving his car without a seatbelt. Day after day after day, a different newspaper or source sends these pictures into Norfolk Constabulary saying, what are you going to do about Arthur Farnsbarnes driving around without a seatbelt? Can the police actually take action on a series of photographs?
Of course they can. Of course they can. They would have reasonable cause to suspect an offence, and they would be perfectly entitled. What you'd expect them to do is, on receipt of first, second, third photograph, go and speak to the person, Arthur, and say, listen, Arthur, you need to start wearing your seatbelt. If we see this again, we're going to issue you with a ticket.
So they would nick him, ultimately?
For instance, it's a £100 fine, unless you're reversing for a distance of less than 50 metres, which I don't think is the case here. And if you don't pay it, it goes up to court to £500. So you have to wear a seatbelt. That's what the law requires. But of course, Arthur, I think, was involved in quite a serious accident, and it was believed he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and it was believed that possibly saved his life and saved him from getting any serious injury. So Arthur might think, well, actually, I know I'm breaking the law, but I think, for me, this is the best course. This is the course that I believe in, and that's Arthur's privilege.